И сегодня будет необычный герой.
How crazy it is to have somebody point out everything that's going in your body. Like when I had it done the first time, I was like, oh my god.
И на русском языке это называется, я даже загуглила, иридодиагностика.
For me, I like the stuff that I can confirm. I'm very nerdy and scientific a little.
Итак, сыроедом я была на протяжении 3 недель, может быть, месяца. И все это вообще началось с тренинга Тони Роббинса. Это было, кстати, ровно 4 года назад.
And then for dinner, I'll normally have either a smoothie or a big salad, or I'll do both. So I've recently done her and all of her sons and her husband and her mom. So I love to be able to see that whole genetic type of thing. But this is a blue eye. There's no healthy way to just jump into eating only raw foods all the time.
Привет! Меня зовут Настя Халва, и на этом канале я помогаю тебе найти практики, чтобы узнать самого дорогого и важного человека в твоей жизни – это самого себя. Каждый мой выпуск наполнен практиками, которые ты можешь применить уже прямо сейчас. Досмотри этот выпуск до конца, и твое мышление, твоя жизнь точно изменится. Погнали!
Русский YouTube-канал, поэтому привет, друзья! С вами Настя Халва, и я очень-очень рада вас приветствовать на своем канале. Если вы еще до сих пор на меня не подписаны, то обязательно подписывайтесь. Вы точно здесь зависнете на несколько часов. Я постоянно получаю огромное количество сообщений в Инстаграме о том, что Настя, я зависла на твоем канале, спасибо тебе большое, столько пользы. Я рада для вас стараться, и сегодня будет необычный герой. Ее зовут Бритт. Она является ардиологистом, и на русском языке это называется, я даже загуглила, иридодиагностика. В общем, это чтение по глазам состояния твоего здоровья. Конечно же, это не традиционная медицина. И когда я это увидела, мне стало очень-очень интересно, как это работает. И поэтому я, конечно же, решила сразу поделиться с вами. Но для начала давайте я вам немножко расскажу, что такое иридодиагностика. Иридодиагностика – это метод в нетрадиционной медицине, в котором диагностика проводится по обследованию радужной оболочки глаза. Сторонники метода утверждают, что болезни различных органов приводят к изменению рисунка радужной оболочки. Научные исследования, проведенные методами доказательной медицины, показали, что вероятность правильно определить диагноз с помощью иридодиагностики не выше обычной случайности. В связи с этим иридодиагностика зачастую рассматривается как псевдонаука. Иридодиагност способен выявить даже небольшие отклонения в организме, характерные для доклинической стадии заболевания, что с успехом используется для профилактики различных патологий. В общем, это очень интересная тема, в которой мне захотелось разобраться и проинтервьюировать Бритт, расспросить, как она работает, как она давно работает, как работает ее метод, как это помогает клиентам. Также Бритт сыроед. Мы сейчас узнаем, как долго, что она ест, почему она им стала. Мне тоже очень интересна эта тема. Я пробовала сама сыроедение около 3 недель, это было 3 года назад. И вообще вся моя история с питанием, кстати, многие меня спрашивают, и я, наверное, в этом выпуске с вами поделюсь. Как я питаюсь, почему я перестала есть мясо, почему я не ем молочку, и всю эту историю я здесь вам расскажу.
How are you? How are you feeling with the situation in the world?
Oh, I try not to pay attention. Honestly, I'm I don't know. The media lately is so crazy. There's so many things going on, and I'm just trying to not even hear about it really.
Hi.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. You're very beautiful.
Thank you. So are you.
How old are you, if it's not secret?
I am going to be 30 at the end of this month.
Okay, let's start. I have accidentally found your page on Instagram, and it was very interesting for myself. I interview a lot of people who transform, who explain about health, about mental health, and it's very. I'm very passionate about this. Your theme is very interesting because honestly, I have not heard about it. It's very interesting because it's not popular, and I don't know about states, but I have not heard. In Russian, I think people don't know about it. Yeah, you can check your states from your eyes. And I want to ask you about your nutrition firstly. Secondly, I want to ask you about this method, how it works, because it's interesting.
How crazy it is to have somebody point out everything that's going in your body. Like when I had it done the first time, I was like, oh my God. Like, you know what's going on inside me, like better than I know.
What did you know about it?
I found it through my teacher. He has a school called the International School of Detoxification. So how I found all of that is like through him. I started reading his book, and then he also has courses where you can take them and become a detoxification specialist. And he also teaches lymphatic iridology. So it's cool. It's cool to learn from these older people. He's like in his 70s. And he's been doing this all his life, doing naturopath stuff for the last like 50 years. Yeah, like getting quadriplegics to walk again. Like people that don't walk at all because they have spinal like severed. Now they walk. It's crazy, but it's cool to see the transformation of people's health just on that level because it's pretty easy. It's just through diet and herbs. It's nothing like what other people have to go through to get rid of like diseases and stuff like that.
How long did you teach it?
I've been doing it for 5 years.
5 years. Wow. Right now, you can see the eyes and you can say it's like health of anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely anyone. Normally, I tell people with babies to wait until they are at least a year old so that their eyes are fully formed. Then I can see what's going on a little bit better. But yeah, as long as I can see like the actual eye up close and with detail, I can absolutely see and tell anyone what's going on with their health.
And you can give a recommendation. What kind of recommendation?
Mostly raw. I do like a high raw plant-based diet. So I do eat cooked food from time to time, but it's very sparingly. I don't do that very often. I try to eat mostly raw vegan, mostly fruit. And yeah, my recommendations are basically to switch up and go onto a plant-based diet, at least 50% raw foods. And then I tell people to start looking into fasting because to me, fasting is the first principle of medicine. Just actually giving the body time away from food and drinks to flush and work on what's already inside them. So that's huge.
And how long are you fasting per week?
There's different types of fasts. Anyone that wants to start can start doing water fasts for like most of the day. Throughout the night, you're fasting anyway while you're asleep. So when you get up in the morning, just adding on whatever hours you want to onto that and trying to extend the amount of time before you start eating food during the day. That is the easiest one to accommodate for. And then you can start doing days of juice fasting. I always recommend people start with 1 day and try to ease their way into it instead of doing like a detox mindset where they're going for like a week and then they feel like they can just go back to regular life, because all of this to actually heal like lifestyle problems requires you to change your entire lifestyle. Mm. So everything that you eat, what you enjoy doing with friends, like alcohol, participating in like any type of that kind of stuff. When you're chronically ill, that's like an absolute no. I work with a lot of people that are actually like very ill. They have lots of digestive issue problems like Crohn's disease, IBD, IBS, that type of stuff. And I work with people that have like nervous system weaknesses where they have like CFS, which is chronic fatigue syndrome. They have MS, like all kinds of different things. Normally I'm like the last straw type of thing. Like they'll go exhaust the options going through the medical system. And once they don't get any answers from them, they're like, okay, I need help. Like, can you look at my eyes? Let's get a diet program going.
You read the problems, the disease, and after that, you give recommendation of diet.
Normally, I recommend just starting to transfer yourself onto a plant-based diet. And then I normally recommend people start looking into the fasting. And then I normally recommend enemas because cleaning the colon, cleaning out the gut, everything like that really is the first stepping stone to being able to get everything else out of your body. And people have a lot of issues starting there, but that's like the exit door. Once you can get that clear enough, the rest of the body can start bringing things into the digestive system and then flushing it out.
How are you working with clients? You read their ISIS, give them recommendation. You continue to go through this path, or you help them? How are you working?
So normally after the reading, we will talk. I'll answer any questions that they have, but basically throughout the entire reading, I'm giving them everything that they could want or need to get started on going through a detoxification process journey. I normally give them a list of suggested herbs too, based on what I find in their irises. After that, if they want to continue coaching with me, we'll set up coaching calls where we can go and we'll talk for an hour or two. Just depends on what they need at that time to have explanation or support or questions answered or anything like that. I will set up those like coaching calls. I don't have coaching packages anymore. I find it works better for everybody to have the flexibility of just like one-on-one coaching for an hour here or there. Now I'm starting to get into herbs too, where I'm making my own blends for people. I'll buy the herbs in bulk and then I'll create these blends for them that I feel like would be really helpful for them just based on what I see going on with their organs and glands and all that kind of stuff.
How many readers did you have?
I have read hundreds of eyes at this point. There's been so many people over the last 5 years that I've seen their eyes. And it's crazy because every time I'm learning something new, I'm always learning something like from somebody's eyes that I haven't seen before. And then I have to ask them about their health. And I'm like, what's going on? Like in your left shoulder, like, did you have an injury there? Did you break something? And normally most of the time it's either from like sleeping or not moving the body. There's a lot of things that you can see in the irises. For me, I deal with the physical body. I really like dealing with that type of stuff. There's also iridology that does emotional iridology. So it goes into like emotion, your past life, like all kinds of stuff like that. There's so many different types of iridology. But for me, I like the stuff that I can confirm. I'm very like nerdy and scientific a little.
Okay, but why is not popular?
I think because it's pretty new. But people have been using the irises to diagnose issues since Egyptian times, like very, very old. So there's so many things, like ancient Chinese stuff even goes back to that too. But it was made popular in Germany, I believe, and then came over here and started teaching. And it just kind of went from like doctor to doctor. And a lot of people have written things on it, but it's not very mainstream. It's kind of new, but it's kind of not. It's just something that never became super popular. But now there's a bigger rise in it because I feel like a lot of people are trying to get diagnosis where they can't get it from their doctor. So they're kind of trying to branch out and be like, where is this pain coming from? Where is this stuff coming from? If my doctor tells me I'm okay. I like the confirmation. That's the best part to me when I have a client that's like, wow, I couldn't even believe you could see all of that in my eye. Every single thing that's going wrong with my health is there and you're telling me about it. And you like, I don't take any information from people before I do their reading. I don't ask them about their health. Don't give me any of your health history. I want to be able to see it all on my own. Normally I work with cancer patients too. And I'm like, don't tell me what kind of cancer you had. Just let me guess by looking at your eyes.
Who was inventor of this method?
So the one that really coined the term lymphatic iridology, because there's so many different types of iridology. His name is Dr. Robert Morris, and he has a YouTube channel too. You can find him on Dr. Robert Morris. He wrote this book, Detox Miracle, and this literally changed my life. I was chronically ill at 21 years old, and by the time I was 25, when I finally got onto his regimen, what he recommends that you do, I healed like basically everything that I've ever had wrong in my body. So it's been really cool. Like even my teeth are starting to regenerate because I'm having like good nutrition. Yeah, my teeth. Like every part of your body really starts healing on a holistic level when you start feeding it the correct foods. There's so many things. Yeah, you can even heal your eyesight doing this stuff, this raw and herbs.
Could you tell about your diet, for example? for one day? What are you eating for breakfast, lunch, dinner?
Okay, so I usually wake up and I try to water fast as long as possible. Right now, I'm not really focusing on fasting because I've been focused on fasting for the last 4 years. I get up and I drink a green juice or I drink any kind of fruit juice. I'll normally start with 32 ounces. I'm not sure what that is from liters. I think 1.5 liters. And then I'll try to assess after that if I want some more juice or if I want to move on to food. Normally I want to move on to food. So then I'll have right now I'm having melon. I have a whole melon to myself. I get the honeydew melons. Those are my favorite, the green ones. And I put lime juice all over that. So I'll eat like the whole melon and that'll be lunch. That'll be my meal. And then for dinner, I'll normally have either a smoothie or a big salad, or I'll do both. Depends on what I want. But it's normally a head of lettuce, 1 carrot, 1 cucumber, some green onions, probably like 5 or 6 tomatoes. And then I'll make like a dressing to put on top of that. Normally my dressings are nut-based. So I mix any kind of nuts with water and lemon juice inside the blender. I normally try to soak those first because that's best for digestion. I'll blend that up and I'll add some spices to it or some coconut aminos, or sometimes I'll put almond butter or something like that in there. And I'll put that on top of my salad. But if I don't have a salad, then I have a smoothie, which is normally like 5 bananas. I'll do a cup or 2 of frozen fruit of any kind. And then I'll mix in my herbs with that because I personally prefer to take them like that. Tinctures, but they don't taste the greatest. I normally only do those while I'm fasting to pull some extra stuff out. That's basically what I would eat in a day. If I was hungry, I would either snack on some raw vegetables or raw fruit.
And you don't cook the food?
No, normally I don't cook the food. And if I do cook the food, it's going to be one kind of vegetable, 1 or 2 kind of vegetables, and then I'll just steam them so that I'm not cooking all the nutrients out of it, because that's a big thing with trying to get nutrient dense foods into your body. The not cooking part is because when you cook things, you're starting to release the benefits of the food. When we're really focusing on regeneration and these like deep chronic illnesses, you want to be trying to get in as much as you can of the nutrients. That's really the reason for not cooking. Sometimes when I cook vegetables, I'll do like broccoli or something like that. I'll put some like butter or oil on it or whatever I want, salt sometimes, but for the most part, I stay away from like all of that stuff. That'll be like my cheat meal. Because I never thought like, wow, vegetables would be my cheat meal. But after the healing that I needed to have happen, that's just like, it's where I feel the best. So that's kind of like where I stay.
Итак, сыроедом я была на протяжении 3 недель, может быть, месяца. И все это вообще началось с тренинга Тони Роббинса. Это было, кстати, ровно 4 года назад. 1 мая закончился тренинг в Лондоне, и Тони Роббинс предложил 2 недели поэкспериментировать со своим организмом, отказаться от кофе, от молочки, от мяса, от рыбы, от всех эдикшенов. Я тогда еще курила кальян, кушала всякие круассаны, много пила кофе. Обычное питание было, ела мясо. И когда это предложили, я думаю, окей, и я еще такой прям вайб после тренинга словила. И вошла в этот эксперимент. Мне очень понравилось, и с этого момента начался мой journey, как раз вот изучение вот этого растительного питания и погружение в него. И, конечно же, как всегда с нами происходит, мне стали попадаться люди, мне стали попадаться сыроеды. Я тогда вот познакомилась, начала дружить с Ильей, и тогда еще начала свой проект по производству сыроедческих десертов, кстати, потому что когда я стала сыроедом, я поняла, что нету десертов, и надо что-то с этим делать и срочно их производить. И потом это все вот перешло в бизнес, который у меня был год. Это производство суперфудов в Москве. На сыроедении посидела вот не больше месяца. Дальше я была веганом, то есть я не ела мясо, я не ела рыбу, я не ела молочные продукты. Ну и практически сахара не было. Все это на самом деле длилось где-то месяцев 8, и сейчас я понимаю, что это вызвало во мне дисбалансы. И я сейчас понимаю, это произошло все потому, что я это делала просто сама, без специалиста, без нутрициолога, без врача, просто такая раз взяла и отказалась. Я сейчас так не рекомендую делать. Это в целом хорошее дело, но обязательно с терапевтами, обязательно со специалистами, потому что я знаю, что некоторым по группе крови обязательно нужно есть мясо, некоторым по группе крови обязательно нужна молочка, обязательно нужна рыба. В общем, все вот эти нюансы, они очень-очень уникальны. Если мы сами отправляемся вот в это путешествие, там, давайте я завтра стану сыроедом, потому что кто-то сказал, то вот эта история, она не совсем здоровая. Опять же, это не говорится, я не говорю, что быть сыроедом плохо. Просто для кого-то это может быть действительно разрушающе. Для кого-то это может быть хорошо. И если ты проверяешься, если твой организм себя чувствует прекрасно, то здорово. Но на моем пути я встречала, наверное, практически каждого сыроеда, который был сыроедом, а потом все равно там вернул какую-то пищу животного происхождения. В общем, я рекомендую, если вам откликается попробовать, сходить к нутрициологу, сходить к специалисту, сходить к врачу и обязательно контролировать свои анализы, свои особенно гормоны. Это мой совет. Ваш выбор прислушаться к этому или делать по-своему. Ну вот я делюсь опытом и действительно говорю, что я не встречала сыроедов, которые там сыроеды всю свою жизнь. Все равно они немножко плавают и потом возвращаются к пище животного происхождения.
I don't eat meat for almost 5 years, and I know people who give up it and start again eat meat because they started to have problem with health. And I know some people who were raw and they started to eat fish because they have problem with health. What do you think about it?
It kind of depends on the person. Sometimes people feel like they need more density to their diet because something is going on inside them. So I personally feel like if somebody's been through all of the detoxing stuff and they want to start adding fish or meat back in, totally fine, go for it. But to me, when you're in a cleansing period and you're trying to really like get rid of something, it's important to be pretty diligent and stay on the path. There's always room, I think, for me to be wrong about the things that I feel are right for each person. So that's why I normally work with my clients to figure out what they think that they should be eating or what they feel called to, and then trying to add in more of the good foods too. So there's like a balance between what they feel like they should be eating or what they're ready to be eating, and then what I think that they should do. So normally that will include just like adding more fruits or vegetables into the diet, juicing, adding more smoothies, that kind of stuff, like a meal replacement. I personally know several people who have been raw vegan and then changed onto a different diet. That's their own path. Everyone is going to do what they feel like is best for them. And sometimes it does help people. But in my mind, just for me, for the people that I've worked with, a few of my clients have tried to go back to animal products and they didn't feel the same amount of energy. They didn't feel any better eating them. So I really think it depends on the person and their own personal experience, because we're all carrying different degrees of genetic damage. So some people could be fine as other people wouldn't because they have more lymphatic buildup within the body.
What kind of results have you gotten from clients?
I've had so many people come to me after they've started to take my advice saying that they feel better. But the most part of it is people love to show me what they eliminate from their bodies. So a lot of times people will be sending me pictures of like worms that they got out of their bodies, just all of these like bodily fluids. So I'm a mom of 3. And after you become a mother, like you're kind of very desensitized from all of that type of stuff. So people really want to show me what's coming out of their bodies, what they are eliminating. And it's been crazy to see all of this stuff that's like inside people, all kinds of bodily functions from every orifice in the body that you could even imagine, skin, like all kinds of stuff. Things are just like pouring out of these people's bodies. What's really interesting to me too is to see what comes out of the cancer patients that have been on chemo versus people that have cancer and have not been on chemo. It's nuts to see what comes out of their skin. Sometimes it like burns on the way out and they'll have like burns on their skin. The chemo comes out of the places they're detoxing their body. So, but it's nuts. It's nuts to see. And it's cool to see the progress that people make, because they're actually getting to the root cause of their disease and then having things to show for it. And then also having their feelings, like they'll feel better about it. They'll feel physically better after doing a good amount of time going into detox for like a lifestyle. It takes a long time.
Show maybe or explain, for example, on some signs on the eyes and what does it mean, how you determine it, how it works?
I can put up a picture right here.
Wow.
You can see this.
Very good.
So this is an iris. So I've recently done her and all of her sons and her husband and her mom. So I love to be able to see that whole genetic type of thing. But this is a blue eye. Underneath all of this gunk, that brownness, she has blue eyes. And you can see it a little bit better on this eye right here. So this woman is extremely sick and she has lots of issues with her nervous system. And she's been going to these clinics and trying to find her way through healing and all of that kind of stuff. This is always the colon area, right from the pupil out this way until you see like a ridge. That is the colon area. So her colon is very layered with lots of stuff. I can show you an example of one that's not, so you have something to compare it to. See how you can see on the inside of his colon, you can see that there is a depthness to that, instead of like hers where it's up to the surface. You can see that there's layers of stuff on there. So that's her colon, meaning that she's got a lot of stuff build up in there that needs to come out. She has a lot of colon washing to do with enemas. So that's that part. All of these tiny little lines are places where she has toxins built up inside her body. So there are things like that. And then there are things like this where they are open holes, and these would be dehydration spots. So she's got a mix of chronic cellular dehydration with cells filled with toxins. Any one of these lines, all of these correlate onto a specific body part. So this is the chart that I normally put on people's irises. I don't even know if you can see that clearly, but something like this would be her thyroid. So you can see here that this would be her thyroid correlating area. She has toxins built up in all of these green arrows, which are also genetically passed on to us. Everyone has to deal with their own amount. These white arrows for these black dots are either chronic lymphatic fluid, which would be a degenerative type of area, or these could be drug deposits from pharmaceutical drugs, any type of pills, basically. A lot of people get those inside them from being on too many antibiotics or consistent antibiotics or being on pain medication for a very long time. These rings that go around the iris, you can see them a little bit better over here. They go all the way around. Those are nervous system rings. So that's showing all the tension inside her nervous system. So all of this stuff that she has in her body, it's acidic and inflammatory, and it's not making her feel very great at all. So once she gets through these layers, it'll look more like this color, and then you'll be able to see the fibers actually coming through like you can on this eye. You can see these fibers, where on hers it's just like gunk everywhere.
It means that colors and structure of eyes change all time.
Yes, I have seen my own transformation and the changes of my irises, but I've also seen a lot of other people too. They have before and after pictures before they start their detox, and then they'll have their after pictures. And that's really cool to see. I also work with a coach she coaches juice fasting. So she'll put people on a juice fast, just only drinking juice, like very nutritious, calorie dense, all kinds of juices. And she'll have them on there for over 100 days. So I'll do their iris reading before and after they've only been on juices for like months. And it's crazy to see the difference, like lots of lymphatic movement. The genetic weaknesses are harder to heal, and they're probably like one of the last things to heal, but you can absolutely heal your genetics. So basically you take everything that you eat and make it completely toxin free, and then it can combat the toxins in your body.
And what do you think about the statements that your eyes is your soul?
Yeah, eyes are the windows to your soul. I definitely think the eyes show us the outside world, but when you look into the eyes, you're also seeing the inside world of your body. Like micro reflects macro. It's kind of like that, like the world out here, but we also have a tiny world inside each of us that like you can see exactly what's going on through your irises. There are so many different ways that you can see inside the body, but iridology is my favorite because it's just like you can really see it, what's actually happening through the colors and the patterns.
You have 3 children, and what diet do you have?
So I am separated from my children's dad. We have been separated for about 3 years. So with him, they eat the normal thing. They eat what normal kids eat. Standard American diet is what we call it. They eat meat, they eat dairy, they eat fast food, they eat literally all of the things with him. So with me, they are mostly raw. They eat basically all fruit, salads, smoothies, juices, anything that I can get them to eat, they do. And it's normally all raw over here. So then I can combat a little bit of like the toxins that they're eating, and they come over here and they actually have like healthy food. It's cool because I'm having them have their own experience with what they're eating. So by the time that they get old enough to make their choices, their dietary choices, they will know what the difference is. They will already go into their adulthood knowing what each food tastes like, how it feels in the body, if they like it or not, all that kind of stuff. While it's not my favorite thing, that's what kind of diet they have, it works. And I've made peace with that, because the whole reason why I feel like I had chronic illness in the first place is because of how I ate as a child, like lots of processed stuff, lots of fast food, just standard American stuff. And now I ended up the way that I did because of that. If I can prevent that for my kids, that's the absolute goal for me.
Are you raw 5 years?
I have been raw for the last 3 years, I would say. And for the last 6 years, it'll be 6 years in May, I've been on a high raw plant-based diet. So I started with a transition, which I always recommend everyone start with transition. There's no healthy way to just jump into eating only raw foods all the time. Like you're not going to be successful if you set that goal, only because it's very difficult. Food is tradition. Food is what our families eat. It connects us to other people. It takes a really long time to set up your life to be able to accommodate for an entire lifestyle change without shocking everyone around you or shocking your body. People absolutely do that, but I notice a lot of those people will be the people that end up going back to meat quickly or feeling like they are missing things in their diet because they're not taking a slow amount of time to like work themselves into that change. Most of my pregnancy with my daughter, my last child, was raw.
What do you think? RSs can reduce the doctors? Is it becoming more and more popular, or it will be for people who understand it?
I think nothing will really replace modern medicine because there's always a time and place for that. I just think a lot of people will start going to them for more of like an emergency type of thing, like maybe surgery or needing other things, and not going to them for like the chronic things like diabetes, hypothyroidism, heart disease, all of that kind of stuff. All of these things are diet related. So it's hard to go to a doctor and be like, hey, what should I do? And they're like, oh, here's a pill. It's not going to change anything. You're just going to become dependent on the pill. And once you take away the pill, you solve the problem. So what I do in my work is all about getting to the root cause, actually healing the root cause, and then moving on with your life in a better, more transformed, more healthy and mindful way.
What can you advise to people who want to change his eat habits, but they cannot do it because their body requires sugar, like bites or something like this, and they cannot to change it.
I definitely think everyone should be on herbs because it's the easiest way to get the glands functioning and to provide the body with nutritional things that you might be missing. Anytime that I have any clients, I'm always recommending herbs, especially easy things that are kid safe and really easily found. If you can't change the diet right away, the herbs are going to be your friend because they're going to give you the nutritional things that your body really is looking for.
Thank you. It's really interesting. And what are you doing? It's for health, for people, surviving. It's very important. What are you doing?
Thank you so much. I definitely feel that way too. It's my absolute passion because it does help people so much.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate you.
Ну что, дорогой мой зритель, как тебе этот выпуск? Обязательно делись своими впечатлениями, задавай вопросы в комментариях. Ну и до встречи в следующем выпуске.